This is Katie, co-host of Coffee with Keith and Katie. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
I'm the Greg.
And I am Dave Show.
We host the Greg and Dave Show on Public House Media.
Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out our show, The Greg and Dave Show, where we talk about strange, bizarre, and sometimes just downright quirky news stories that you may not have heard about.
A new show comes out every Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. And hey, thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Throughout history, the course of sports has been shaped by one thing: the fans.
From the moments you never dreamed of.
Bobby Womack has saved the USA's life in this World Cup!
Hall, the runner! Loose ball! It's good! Gonzaga! The slipper still fits!
To the moments that still give you nightmares.
Behind the bag! It gets through Buckner! Here comes Knight and the Mets win it!
He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl! Brady has his fifth!
Through the good and the bad, fans have helped change the games we watch and the players we love.
They may not be the most logical people.
You are a factory of sadness! I'll see you Sunday.
But they know their teams better than anybody.
They'll blow in the ninth.
You may not always see them, but you know where to find them.
After all, there's nothing quite like the view from the cheap seats.
Broadcasting as part of the Public House Media Network.
Grab a chair and enjoy all there is in
The cheap seats.
And happy Friday to you, Matt Coyne, alongside Jake Holmes. Jake, how are you doing this week?
Man, I'm telling you, I am having this the time of my life, baby. I got to tell you, this morning I went to the grocery store, and you'll never guess what I saw on the shelf. Pumpkin spice cereal.
What?
It's that time of year, baby. I am amped. I am stoked. Pumpkin spice cereal. There was just a big trade in the NHL last night. Jeff Skinner to the Buffalo Sabres. Football last night. Man, it's a great time to be alive. What do you say, Coiner?
Yeah, it's great. You know, it's funny, my wife was saying the other day, this is so lame, what our life has come to, but she goes, I wish the cleaning stuff I used made a pumpkin spice. She literally went online on our way to Pennsylvania. She goes, look, they make a pumpkin spice. It just came out. I'm like, it's that time of the year. So you're right, Jake. It's that time of the year. There's a lot of energy going on in the baseball world. Football's ramping up, like you said. Big trade the other night in the NHL. Golf has even come out with some cool stuff. So Jake and I think have a great show for you. Jake, I am currently right now sitting in the Pittsburgh area in my in-laws' basement in my father-in-law's man cave, surrounded by Pittsburgh memorabilia all around me. So this is kind of a great place for me to be. I'm currently looking at a signed picture of Russell Martin, Daniel McCutcheon, and Clint Hurdle. Talking about going back a couple years with two of those, huh?
Man, I'm the old Greensburg Bible Belt.
Yes, yeah.
Nice, okay, all right. Nice, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
yeah, that's awesome. I'm telling you, I'm in a man cave of sorts. I don't know. It's not as great as that, but man, I tell you, like you said, it's a fun time right now. I mean, we're getting close to the best time of the sports calendar, you know, in my opinion, at least, with all four of the major American sports coming into fruition. But yeah, I think the old C team's got a heck of a show for you guys today. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm even gonna turn on some music here for us as we get into this week's quick headlines. Play some swag in here for you, Jake. First of all, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson lined up to go head-to-head against each other on Thanksgiving weekend. I don't know about you, but that excites me. I love that. I think that it's cool. I agree with you, actually. I'm excited for it. I'm not the biggest golf fan, you know what I mean? But, these are the two heavyweights, if you will, of that industry. They have been for how many years now? And what's also pretty cool is they aren't necessarily friends.
Yes, yeah.
I just think that's cool. It's not like, there's two buddies going out on the courses, It's not like Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus,
Mm-hmm.
But it's two lifelong rivals, and they don't necessarily like each other. And it's Thanksgiving weekend. People are going to be glued to their televisions. It's exciting. $10 million.
Yeah,
get it.
Yeah, Tiger Woods 42, Phil Mickelson 48. I've always enjoyed watching these two. Mickelson is my favorite golfer. I'm left-handed, Jake, so lefty, of course, has always been one of my favorites, or my favorite. I will definitely be watching. I think it'll be entertaining. Smart move by the PGA. Now that Woods is back, after Mickelson's debacle about a month ago, I think this was a smart thing. So I'm excited to see it. Who do you have, Jake?
Man, I'll tell you, I like Phil too. I like Phil, but just the way that Tiger's played recently. I mean, just what was this golf tournament this week? He shot 4 under with 66 in the first round, I believe. Tiger's golfing well. If that can stick, I mean, it's still another 3 months away. That's who I'd pick. I'd put my money on Tiger.
Yeah. All right, I gotta go with lefty. Like I said, I love him, always have. So we'll see what happens. Still months away. But moving over to college football, Jake, coach's preseason poll just came out on yesterday, actually. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, Oklahoma rounding out the top 5. Washington, Wisconsin, Miami, Penn State, Auburn. Those top 10, anything there surprise you? Anything you'd switch around yourself?
Well, I mean, Penn State's too low. Come on, son. I'm just playing. I don't know. I think it's probably right. I mean, Alabama, I think, has to be number 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure. That's probably. I think it looks good. Georgia might be a little bit high because of the recency bias, but they've got a really good. They had a really good freshman class come in, so I don't know how many of those guys will contribute. They lost their best player in Roquan Smith last year, but they still got Jake Fromm, a quarterback. Maybe Georgia might be a little bit too high for my liking, but yeah, and Oklahoma too, losing Baker, but I mean. These teams bring in so much talent. It never really matters. Those teams are always going to be at the top of the list.
Yeah. It's early. It's always that way too early thing. But I'm sure the Monday show will be touching on that. And we just want to touch on that briefly with it just coming out. Last thing before we go into our first break, Jake, a lot of injuries this year in NFL training camp. And you take anything from this, or you think it's just a fluke?
You always get a lot of guys. You always get some guys, that come down with the torn ACL is the big one. I see. Fozzie Whitaker, Paul Warlow for the Eagles linebacker, Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry is a big one because he's a really promising young player at tight end for the Los Angeles Chargers. I still can't get used to that. But yeah, I mean, it might be a fluke. I'm not quite sure. I just think, these guys, we saw Antonio Brown just a few days ago make just a circus catch in training camp.
Yeah,
I don't like.
Me neither. I agree.
Just get in there, just play. We know Antonio Brown's great. We know these players are great. Just get in there. Don't necessarily go through the motions, but, don't act like it's, week 16 and you're fighting for a playoff spot. I mean, I'm not saying that all those guys did that, but just an example. I don't know. It's sad to see, especially with teams that, like the Chargers, we'll be talking about them a little bit next week. But I mean, they've got some promise, and one of their better young players is out for the year.
Yeah,
it is unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard. You got to practice. You want to see. You don't want to see the Le'Veon Bells. Who are going out to strip clubs while his teammates are working hard on the field. But you also don't want to see them getting hurt in the process. Ross Cockrell, the cornerback for Carolina the other day, they literally said he snapped his leg, and he's out for the year, which is a shame. So. But it is what it is. It's it's not. It's a tough sport. It's football. So I just feel like there's a lot of injuries going on this year. So hopefully these won't be any more season endings. But we'll see. So before we go on our first break, I did want to remind you, Jake and I are just so excited today. I don't know why, but I did forget to let you know that, as always, we are presented by SquadCast.fm, brought to you by Public House Media. You can listen to us on iTunes, Google Podcast, anywhere you can get your podcast. You can learn more about us on the phmedia.com, get some swag for the cheap seats and other shows. Like us on our Facebook page, PH Media, as well as the cheap seats, and then our daily poll question. And Jake and I will get to that later in the show. So just stay with Jake and myself. When we come back, we will be talking to you a little bit about the MLB trade wrap-up. And let me tell you, Jake and I are just a little excited. So stay with Jake and me here in the cheap seats.
It's a revolution.
And welcome back to the cheap seats. Jake and me. We are just... I don't even have words to it. Last week, Jake, there was a player we talked about, the most coveted free agent in this MLB trade deadline by the name of Chris Archer. And Jake, we said last week we would be talking about where he went, if he went anywhere. Jake, where did Chris Archer go?
Oh my gosh, Matt, he went to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
The
I can't
Pittsburgh
believe it.
Pirates. I am, when I saw that news break on Tuesday, Jake, you texted me. I felt like for 45 minutes I was just on the edge of my seat waiting to see where he was going. I saw it. I saw, it came down to the Braves. I think the Brewers were in that hunt, I believe so. I came down to those three, and then obviously the Pirates came out. Jake, you and I talked a little bit about this on Tuesday. The Pirates did have to give up Tyler Glasnow, which I'll be honest, I'm cool with. Austin Meadows, which I think a lot of people were, a little more iffy about that. And then a player to be named later. Jake, do you like the trade? I know we're excited. I know that Nunning and Huntington finally did something, but on paper, on the field, do you like this trade?
Well, real quick, I just want to tell you a story.
Mm-hmm.
I was working for a piece for Pittsburgh Hockey Now as a Matt Cole analysis, and I was following the trade deadline. I was like, we got Keon Kayla. I mean, that's we weren't
even talking about that.
Yeah, I was happy about that. I was like, okay. But I was just scrolling through Twitter. I had a bit of a writer's block, and I saw at 3:00 Pirates in and lead the race for Chris Archer. I'm not kidding. I threw my phone in the air and I started screaming like a child. And then 45 minutes later, when they said, Chris Archer to the Pirates in a blockbuster deal, a 280-pound man was in a basement crying. I was that happy, and I don't care about anything else. Look, I love the trade. I don't care who they gave up.
Yeah.
The fact that they did this after how many years of not doing it? I know they brought in Justin Morneau and Marlon Byrd back in 2013. Mm-hmm. The fact that they did this shows that the organization actually cares about their fans. I love the trade. If we're talking baseball, Tyler Glasnow, a couple of years ago, he was a highly coveted prospect. He's been in the bullpen, though, and he's got great numbers in Indianapolis. One of the best pitchers in Indianapolis Indians history, by the way. But when he comes up to the majors, he can't do anything. He's a flop. Austin Meadows can play, though. That boy can ball.
Yeah.
And, I think that he's going to go right into Tampa Bay and be a starter in their outfield.
I agree.
He's that good. He's a beast, and he's only 23.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care that they gave that up. They feel the same way about Jordan Luplow as they do Austin Meadows, that being the Pirates organization. I think it's great. I think it's a great trade, and I'll tell you, I think the Pirates are going to make a legit push for the playoffs.
Yeah, I was talking to some people the other day after this happened, getting texts back and forth. The Pirates, before this trade happened, they had 55 games left, and I said, I'll be honest, Jake, I don't know what you feel about this, but they're going to have to be high 80s, low 90s to make the playoffs this year. I think they need to at least be 35, or not at least, 32, 23-ish area to make the playoffs, which is not unfeasible. That's about a 580 to 600 win percentage. They can do it, Jake. I really do feel they can do it. The problem is that the Milwaukee Brewers picked up 2 more players with a combined home runs last year of 70 home runs, and I'm talking about Jonathan Schoop and who else did they pick up? Can't think of right now. Why can't I think of who they picked up? Anyways, 2 players that combined for 70 home runs last year. They got Mike Moustakas. So I'm sorry about that, but they got better. Obviously, the Cardinals were sellers, so they didn't do anything. The Cubs got better. They're not going to win their division, Jake. I don't think that. I do think they have a legit chance for a wild card, though.
No, I agree. They aren't going to win the division. You're right. You're absolutely right. They are not going to win the Central. I think that's pretty obvious. The Cubs and the Brewers, I think, are both too good to get past both of them. One of them, though, I'm not quite sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they got past one of them. They go on another run winning 7 of 10. And like you said, the goal right now is probably 88 to 90 wins to get that wild card. You're looking at 30 and 21 down the stretch. That's not. It's not it can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not talking about a 700 win percentage here. We're talking about a normal win percentage of a good team.
Yeah, they have to be good. You're absolutely right. They have to be good. And you know what? I'll tell you, this whole year, the position players haven't been the problem. I feel like it was pitching, particularly the bullpen.
Yeah,
7 through 8 was rough. They brought in Kayla to do that.
Huge.
And now they've got a true number 1, number 2. I don't care about his ERA right now. I don't care that he's 3 and 5. Chris Archer can play ball, and he is a great pitcher.
And you gotta remember too. And I heard the other day on 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh, which I get to listen to a little bit more since I'm visiting here. They were saying, you got to remember he's in the East. He's in the East. He's playing against Red Sox and Yankees all the time. Outside of the East, his ERA is below 3, which is solid. The Pirates now, they have Ivan Nova, Jamison Taillon, Trevor Williams, Joe Musgrove, and then Nick Kingham is the odd man out there, I feel. All of them are right around, all around 500, 500 wins. They're 6, 7, 7, 5, and 5 wins. Strikeouts, obviously Taillon is really leading. Trevor Williams, I think, is he's playing a little above his talent. I'm not saying he's not a bad pitcher. He's just playing a little bit above his talent. But to bring Chris Archer in, I think is just huge. I really think he's going to make a big impact. He's starting tonight, I believe. Is that correct, Jake?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
He's starting tonight, and I'm so anxious for that.
Yeah,
I'm so excited. PNC Park on a Friday night against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Baseball is back, baby. It's back in Pittsburgh. I'm so excited because nothing was more exciting, in my opinion, than that 2013 wild card game.
Yes.
So many years of losing. I know that Pirates just lost a wild card game 2015, but it's just they had good teams and they were so close to actually doing something. A debacle against the Cardinals in 2013, but. It's back. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Well, let's touch on a few of the other teams. Obviously, Dodgers just keep getting better, picking up Ryan Dozier from the Twins. That lineup now is just ridiculous. I mean, I don't know how they're going to be touched in the National League. They are just amazing. You have, like I said, Brewers picking up a few players. The Dodgers also picked up John Axford, a reliever, which isn't anything crazy, but they were making their moves. Braves made a few. Cubs, picking up Kinsler from Nationals. Jake, is there anything that shocked you from the fury of the trade deadline, or any teams you think that made some big moves that that we're going to see, going down the stretch?
I mean, obviously the big shock, of course, was the Pirates, getting Chris Archer. But I'll be honest with you. The Dodgers getting Brian Dozier. Dozier's a great player, second baseman, formerly with the Twins. But I've seen this before in a lot of sports, where teams make so many big moves, and it just doesn't work.
It throws off the chemistry.
That's what worries me about the Dodgers, because the Dodgers are really good anyways. You bring in Machado and Dozier. I don't know. I just think of the 23rd team. For these teams, you got a freaking all-star team. I don't know the longevity and everything. But still, on paper, nobody should beat the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But the trade that I like is Wilson Ramos to the Phillies. And I'll tell you, they needed a bat, I think, and Ramos can deliver that. They needed something other than Reese Hoskins and the guys that they needed to add that. They needed to add a little bit of offense because their pitching is fantastic. I like the Wilson Ramos trade, but yeah, I mean it's unfortunate to see the Rays, because the Rays have been playing really well to dump both Archer and Wilson Ramos on the same day, because they've been playing well. But I mean, it's just a testament to what the Red Sox and Yankees are doing. A move that I didn't understand was the Yankees bringing in. Oh my gosh! As soon as I say that, I forget his name. I forget who it is.
I can't think who. Can't think of it either.
Oh my gosh! But either way, they brought in another pitcher when they didn't. I mean, Severino's been struggling as of late. He's given up a bunch in his last couple outings. But I don't understand why the Yankees went after pitching. And yeah, I mean, when they could have went with a positional player, especially with Judge out for the next probably 3 weeks. So yeah, those are a few that I think of.
Yeah. Well, it is going to, like we said, it is going to be just absolutely awesome to watch. I think it's gonna. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I do not see the Pirates taking the Central. I do see them making a run for it, though. A lot of moves. This is one of the more fun trade deadlines we've seen. Stay with Jake and me here in the cheap seats. When we come back, we will be talking NFL. Who Let the Dogs Out? Jake, that song, wow, that takes me back to high school right there. That was a very popular song. Now, unfortunately, it is the calling card of the Cleveland Browns. But wow, what a song, right?
Yeah, that was that's a classic. I mean, it's kind of funny, We hear, our grandparents and our parents, talk about like, oh, this song was so great, back in the day, and like we're gonna be telling our, you have kids, but your kids and grandkids, you could play "Who Let the Dogs Out," and they're gonna be like, oh wow, it's some beautiful song for us, and then we're gonna be presenting "Who Let the Dogs Out." But
yeah.
It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, every decade has those terrible songs. I feel like that's a terrible song from that time, that the 90s. But anyway, so Jake, I'm sorry, I keep breaking up here. Sorry about that. So Jake, can you run down our last week's NFL preview for us?
Yeah, of course. So it was Lance Lynn to the Yankees, by the way. Sorry about that last segment, but yeah. So last week we went through the Norths, the AFC and the NFC North. We both had the Steelers finishing 11-5, winning the division, but I had the Browns at 8-8, finishing second. You had the Ravens at 7-9. You had the Browns also finishing 7-9, third in the division.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Ravens at 7-9, finishing third. We both had the Bengals. I'm in the cellar. I had 4-12. You had 5-11. But in the NFC North, we differed. We differed a little bit on the champs. So I had the Vikings at 13-3. You had the Packers at 12-4. Or you also had the Vikings at 12-4, but losing the tiebreaker, finishing second in the division. I had the Packers at 12-4 as well, finishing second. We both have the Lions finishing third. I had 7-9. You had 8-8, and then we both had the Bears in the basement, 5-11 for those two teams.
Yeah, it was. It'll be interesting. The poll question did come out, Jake. I don't know if you noticed, but it was about 75% for the Packers. So. For once in my life, somebody agreed with me, so I feel good about myself. But this week, we want to touch on the AFC and NFC South. Jake, let's start with the AFC South. This is, I don't know a polite way to say it, but this division is, I don't even have a word for it. It is not exciting to me at all. I think that, I mean, other than the Jaguars, I don't really see much in this division. I do have the Jaguars winning this division at 11-5. I think that they are going to come off of last year. They're going to leave off where they left off. They're going to pick up right where they left off last year. You got some talent there, and I think that their schedule, that they have a very tough schedule. They have a first place schedule. You got the Patriots in week 2. You got the Steelers, Eagles, but then they have their division that I think that they could easily come out of that division with 5 or 6 wins.
Yeah. So you had Jaguars 11-5, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I also have the Jaguars winning the division. But I think they're going to be 10-6.
Okay.
I'm telling you, even though the Jaguars are a really nice team, don't get me wrong, they're a really nice team. I don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're, the most recent version of the Seattle Seahawks. With,
good point.
With some attitudes that they have, but they're really good. I'm not a Jalen Ramsey fan, but he's really good. I worry about the middle, though. I worry about their linebacking core. They lost Paul Posluszny to retirement. And I worry about that offense. In the NFL today, I don't think that you can run the ball 35 times with Leonard Fournette and win football games. I just don't.
Yep.
But they're good enough, I think, to go 10-6, win the division. Even though this division's going to be better than it was last year, with Luck maybe coming back. Who knows? Deshaun Watson's going to be back. He's one of the most exciting football, in my opinion, when he was healthy.
Yep.
It's going to be tough for him, but 10-6 is the.
Yeah, and speaking of Deshaun Watson, I still say I think the playoffs would have looked completely different last year if he didn't go down. Texans were on a tear until he, no pun intended, he tore his ACL. Right? I can be punny about that.
He did.
That's me. That's sick. Anyways, I do have them in second at 10-6. I think if he stays healthy, which there's no reason to see that he won't. I think they're going to have another pretty solid year. They start the year off with the Patriots. Is it me, or are the Patriots playing all 31 the other 31 teams? I feel like they're on everybody's schedule that we've talked about. I know that's not true, but I feel like it. I feel like they're. I'll be honest with you, Jake. I think their schedule really favors them this year. Again, they have the South, where I think they can do pretty well. I know I just said earlier, the Jaguars, I think that they could go, 5-6 wins. But obviously, outside of that, I mean, they have a pretty easy schedule that I think is going to favor them well.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the Texans also finished 10-6, but the Jaguars will have the tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
I love Deshaun Watson, man. I loved him in college. I think that he got jagged out of the Heisman twice.
Yeah.
I love Deshaun Watson. He's a good kid too. And what I like about that team is DeAndre Hopkins. I think that he's the second best wide receiver in football,
yeah.
and I think he's the second best. And the first best is Antonio Brown. I think he's better than Julio Jones.
I was just going to say, so you
really
put him above Julio? Okay.
I put him above Julio Jones. I think he's that good. But the thing is he plays in, Texas's, he plays on the Cowboys' little brother.
Yeah.
So I think that hurts him. But DeAndre Hopkins is a beast, and their defense, I think, is good enough. J.J. Watt, hopefully he stays healthy. I like the Texans. I think they finished 10-6.
Great. All right, so going down into the South, though. So Jake and I have agreed so far. We have Jaguars, Texans. I'll be interested to see where we go here, because I'll be honest with you, Jake, these last two teams, Tennessee and Indianapolis, interest me. And the reason I say that is I really think that I don't know what's going on with Luck. I really don't. And it's hard to decide how they're gonna do this year based on him. So my prediction here is based on that he is coming back and he is going to make a difference. I have the Indianapolis Colts at 7-9. I know a lot of people are saying that they're going to do worse because it really depends on Luck. But I'm going to be a positive Polly here and say that he comes back and gets right back into it here with the Colts. The Colts obviously have a very easy schedule. They had a lot of high picks. Jake, I didn't realize this till the other day. They had 4 second-round draft picks this year. I did not realize that until the other day.
Yeah, I'll tell you, honestly, I didn't realize it until you just told me. The Colts, I just don't, and I try to be, unbiased. I just don't pay attention to them.
Yeah.
I mean, since Peyton left, and I really like Andrew Luck, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's just had a bad string of luck. There's my pun. But I like him. I think that he's a really fine football player. When he's healthy, he's one of the best. And I just don't know. He hasn't played since Martin Van Buren was president. I don't know. He might not have played since Barack Obama was president. I'd have to look that up.
I mean, you could be that could be legit. And it's a shame because what a great player. I mean, I just don't I have never seen an injury like this before, where such a young player and it affects him this much.
Yeah, I think, it's the cheap seats. We're fans. I'm going to be a fan. I don't think that it's Andrew Luck. I think it's the team.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you screw up an injury so many times? I mean, it's a shoulder injury. It's not brain surgery. You know, I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm picking the Titans to finish third in the division.
Okay.
Just because the Colts are just, I just feel like the Colts are a disaster. Plus, other than Andrew Luck, who do they have? T.Y. Hilton. That's it. But I do like Malik Hooker, a kid from he got hurt last year, but the kid from Newcastle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to pick the Titans. I think they're 7-9. I love Mariota. He's a good guy too.
Mm-hmm.
And Derrick Henry. Watch Derrick Henry this year. He's going to be in the top 6 in rushing. That's my prediction. He's going to be in the top 6. I'm not ready to say top 5, but the Titans are going to go 7-9, finish third in the division. But it's going to be the Mariota and Henry show, I think.
Yeah, I think, I mentioned, and like I said, it's hard for me because I do have Tennessee, obviously, rounding out this division at 6-10. And it's interesting because you have the Colts who had just a plethora. You like that word? I pulled out a big word today. I'm a big boy. So they had all of these draft picks, but then you have the Tennessee Titans who had four draft picks. I think, like you said, I think Derrick Henry's going to be good. They just lost a player the other day. Can't think who it was, to an ACL injury for the year. Another camp injury. So yes, thank you. But I think they have. It just really depends. I mean, they're going to be right around 500. I think this year they have another schedule that I think is going to favor them. They don't have anything, that's really crazy. But they're one of those teams where if you ask me, Jake, why did I pick that? I'm going to say, I don't know. There's just nothing about that team. Like you said, we're fans. I'm an idiot. So that's my explanation is I don't know. I just felt that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think the Titans are decent, but they're no better than decent.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised they made the playoffs last year. I was shocked.
Yeah, that was weird.
I mean, and they got in as the 6th seed, right? And they beat Kansas City in the first round.
Yeah.
Or was it the 4-5? I can't remember.
They beat Kansas City. I thought it was 3-6.
Kansas City.
I thought it was 3-6. I thought so.
Yeah, you're right, because it came down. I think it came down to them and the Ravens just completely blew it at the end against the Bengals. That game, but yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. I don't think the Titans are anything special. I was shocked they made the playoffs last year, and really, I'll tell you, Baltimore and Tennessee last year played a play-in game for that 6th seed.
Yeah,
Baltimore would have beaten them by 20. I mean, but that's just the way that it is. That's the rules. But yeah, I think they're in the same kind of realm as the Colts for me. I love Luck. I love Hilton, but Colts are going to finish last in the division, in my opinion. They're also going to finish 7-9, but I'm basing that on is if Andrew Luck plays all 16.
Yeah.
So Colts 7-9, just because they're just boring to me.
Here on our Friday show, we're really smart here. We just say just because. You got Christian and Jonathan on Monday, Max and Keith on Wednesday, then you got us here on Friday who just flip a coin. And
yep, it's the end of the work week.
Yeah,
not that I have a really work schedule.
I just have my 4-year-old. I just say say a number between 1 and 16, and that's how I pick. Not really, but I'd probably do better if I did it that way, though. All right, so there you go with the South. Jake and I, when we come back, we will be talking about the NFC South. This division, Jake, I think is going to be insane this year. Stay with Jake and Matt. That is me here in the cheap seats.
It's a revolution.
And welcome back to the cheap seats. Jake, I just can't get over it. I really can't. I know people are going to be like, shut up already, but after 25 years, we're talking about football, and I can't get off of baseball. But
man, I know.
Seriously. But I guess we probably should, because people are like, listen, we really don't care. But they do. That's why I was talking to somebody. I said, I always feel like I go Yinzer on this show, on this Friday show, because of you and me. But I said, we get to talk about Chris Archer, and it just happens to be where he went. I can't help it, It's
exactly. It's not our fault that the Pirates made the biggest splash at the deadline.
Yeah, about time. Yeah, all right. So, Jake, how about you run down our AFC South here before we get into the NFC South?
Okay, my man, you got the Jaguars at 11-5, winning the whole darn thing. Texans finishing second at 10-6. Colts third at 7-9. Titans at 6-10. I just think the whole division's just decent. Jaguars winning it at 10-6. I also have the Texans winning it at 10-6, but the Jaguars having the tiebreaker over the Texans. Titans at 7-9. Colts at 7-9 in the bottom half of long live irrelevancy.
Yeah, and then it's funny because we go into this division, we're going to jump over the NFC South. Jake, I'll be honest, this division, I could see 3 teams coming out of this division and the NFC going into the playoffs. You got Atlanta, Carolina, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, I think, is just going to run away with... I'm kidding. But these other 3 teams, Jake, I don't know about you, but this is probably the most competitive division in the NFL, I think, going into this year.
What's funny, Matt, is we were just talking about the AFC South and how boring it is. Nothing. I mean, the Jaguars are probably the best team. Them or the Texans, and the Jaguars, they run the ball 35 times a game and play good defense. There's nothing exciting about them.
Yeah.
This one, oh my gosh, this is like old Big 12 football with Texas and Oklahoma putting up 56 every game. This is fun. This division's going to be fun, and isn't it crazy? I'll tell you, it's insane how much better the NFC is than the AFC.
Yeah, really had. Yep.
You're going to have the Panthers, Falcons, Saints, or Packers miss the playoffs. It's got to happen.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So Jake, who do you have in this division?
Man, it could be one of three teams.
I agree.
I'm going to say Atlanta.
Okay.
I think Atlanta. I love Matt Ryan. I love Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. I think in the NFL right now you have to have two quality backs, a guy that you can split out, and play a third receiver or a fourth receiver in a formation. Mm-hmm. Some guy that you can be an X factor on the football field. I like Atlanta finishing 12-4, and the only reason they aren't better than that is because this division is so good.
Yeah. I think this division we might differ in just because, like you said, any three of these teams I really could see come out of this division. I have the Saints. I think this is their year, 13-3. Drew Brees, you just every single year, like you said, this is my argument with the Saints, but also the Falcons at running back. You got Kamara and Ingram, who I think are just a 1-2 punch that is going to be really hard to stop this year. You got Drew Brees, who, you could throw me out there, and I might be able. Well, no, that's pushing it. But you could, you could throw pretty much anybody out there you want, and he's going to turn them into elite wide receiver, just like Tom Brady does. So, New Orleans Saints, I think that they're going to have a great year this year. I think they're going to, again, pick up where they left off last year. Hopefully they won't have the debacle that they did last year in the playoffs.
Oh man, that oh my gosh, that's one of those games. I was at a Penguin game that night. It was right after the Steelers Jaguars game. Oh my god. But yeah, that's one of those games. That was one of those games, one of those sports moments where you will never forget where you were whenever you saw it. I remember I was up in section 202 of PPG Paints Arena. But I agree with you on the Saints. I think that they are just as good as the Falcons. The only reason that I'm picking the Falcons is because their schedule. They have a second-place schedule. Mm-hmm. I have the Saints going 12-4, finishing second. Falcons have the tiebreaker. I love Alvin Kamara. I love him, and it's not because he saved my fantasy life last year.
He's in my fantasy team too. Crazy.
He saved me. He saved me. And what's crazy is he wasn't even drafted. I didn't even draft him.
Yeah, I picked him up in week 3.
Picked him up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I love Alvin Kamara. I think he's fantastic. Again, they got Mark Ingram. Their wide receivers leave a little bit to be desired, in my opinion, except for Michael Thomas. But yeah, the Saints, their defense is good enough. They also, one thing about them is they play in a dome.
Yeah.
So they don't have any weather advantages or anything like that. If they go to they'd have to go to a cold place. They play 10 of their 16 games indoors, just like the Falcons. I think that helps the style of play that they want to have. I like the Saints at 12-4, finishing second.
Great, yeah. I have Atlanta Falcons, so we swapped those two at 12-4. And again, I'm right there with you with Freeman and Coleman. I think that they are going to just be amazing. I've always loved Matt Ryan. They just can never seem, other than the Super Bowl a few years ago, they just can't get there. But here's the thing that I like about the Falcons. They got Julio Jones. They got Austin Hooper, who, Jake, I think is a solid tight end. He's young, only 3 years in. They got Mohamed Sanu. They just get, Calvin Ridley in the draft. They have, Matt Ryan can just throw the ball up and somebody's going to catch it. I think that they just, they're going to have another solid year. Matt Ryan, he's running out of time. He got to do something here. He is going into his 12th season. So he's the clock's ticking on him.
Yeah, I agree, and I like you said, I think the world. I have Matt Ryan's high school football jersey from Penn Charter High School.
Wow.
Yeah, how about it? I love Matt Ryan. I think that he's the best quarterback in the history of the Atlanta Falcons. I do. I'd pick him any day. But yeah, I like the Falcons. This is 1A, 1B. Either one of us could be right. I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints won the division. But third place is going to be the Carolina Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pick them at 10-6. I don't know. Cam is an exciting football player to watch. I just can't root for him. I don't know what he said to the female reporter last year. I can't get over it. I call me a snowflake. Do whatever you need to do. But I just can't get over that. And it's not why I'm picking the Panthers to finish 10-6 and finish third in the division. I just don't think that McCaffrey and Newton are enough on offense to get the job done. They lost Fozzie Whitaker for the year, who's not just a piece on third downs, but he also returns kicks for him. That's going to change field position. That's going to lose them a game, I think, because Fozzie Whitaker is one of the best special teamers in the league. So, special teams, they call it special teams for a reason.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to hurt them. I love Luke Kuechly in the middle. Middle linebacker there. I just don't know. I don't think that they're the Saints or Falcons, but they're a really fine team. I wouldn't be surprised if they snuck in.
Yeah, like I said, I really think that there can be 3 teams from this division. I have Carolina at 10-6 as well. I think that they can make the playoffs, with that, obviously, a 10-6 record. And Cam Newton, he's one of those players that, he's, like you said, he is so full of talent. Every year, it just seems like I've been waiting for him to break out. I know that's hard to say when it's like, Matt, he's pretty solid every year, but I'm waiting for this, for this breakout season. He had not that many yards last year, a little over 3,000 with 22 touchdowns. Obviously, he is a huge threat on the ground as well. But, I just think that the Panthers are there, but I just don't see them being able to overtake the Saints or the Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, they're a heck of a team. They really are. In Cam, he's had one. He's always been good, but he's had one season where he's been the guy. It was the year they went 15-1 and lost in the Super Bowl to Denver. Like he was what he was doing every week that year was unbelievable. I want to see Cam get back to that Cam.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that it happens, and that's 10-6. If Cam is Cam from 2015-16, man, I don't know. That's going to be a really tight race at the top. But of course, we're going to agree on the basement. It's going to be Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Even though I'll tell you this, I've said how many times that I can't stand Jameis Winston. I don't like the sight of him. But he's out for the first 3 games. But I'll tell you, I love what they're doing. I love what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are doing. They rebuilt that defense. Vita Vea got hurt in preseason or in the training camp the other day.
Yeah.
But I love Vita Vea. 42 reps on the bench. He's a heck of a football player. He was really good at the University of Washington. He was their first-round pick. I like what they're doing. They're building around the defense. They have receivers to get the job done. Mike Evans is one of the most underrated receivers in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But they just can't get the quarterback right.
Yeah.
And they've got to, because this is going to be a good team in a couple years if they can get that right. I don't know what they do with Jameis. I think it's time for them to move on. I thought it was time for them to move on a couple years ago. But yeah, Tampa Bay 6-10. I'm going to say 6-10. They're going to be okay, but yeah, and it's not even a great quarterback draft next year, so we'll see.
Yeah, I have them at 4-12, Jake. There is nothing about this team that I like. I mean, Deshaun Jackson. Oh wait, but they have, like you said. I mean, they're building their team around the defense. I think that they have a solid defense. Their offense, there's nothing there. I agree with you with Mike Evans. I think he's very, very underrated, very under the radar. If they could get a quarterback to throw to him, I mean, last year he had a little 1,001 yards receiving. He is a very good wide receiver. They just cannot get somebody to throw to him. And I'll be honest with you, Jake, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I would pick him over Jameis Winston.
Oh, I would too. Oh, absolutely. I would. I mean, I could talk for an hour about things that I don't. So I'm not even gonna try. But yeah, I mean, just reiterating. I mean, I like Ryan Fitzpatrick. I like him more than anything, than Jameis. But the Buccaneers, they might be one of those teams where they might have to go out and they might have to trade for one of these backups, like an AJ McCarron or something. Even though he just got traded, but they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to do something like that, because I think that they've got an okay team, but also that division's very tough. I will say this: they're going to beat the Steelers week 3.
Yeah, you said that a couple weeks ago, and the Steelers do that every year, so we'll see what happens. That's they are unfortunately in a division that they just have no chance this year. So Jake, how about you run down real quick what our NFC South looks like?
Yeah, you got the Saints at 13-3, Falcons at 12-4, Panthers at 10-6, Buccaneers at 4-12. I have the Falcons at 12-4, winning the tiebreaker over the Saints, who also finished 12-4. Panthers at 10-6, and Buccaneers at 6-10.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. Next week we will be doing the West, and we will lead up, like we said, to our Super Bowl champion. Stick with Jake and myself here in the Cheap Seats. When we come back, we'll be doing our quiz show and telling you this week's poll question. And welcome back to the Cheap Seats. Jake and Matt here with you. Make sure you join us again on Monday, Christian and Jonathan. Wednesday, Keith and Max. Also, make sure you go on and we've been getting a lot of feedback on poll questions. The Monday and Wednesday shows are coming up with some awesome poll questions. The Wednesday show, Jake comes up with another doozy. Really no comments actually on it, but I thought it was a very highly debated question. Should college athletes be paid? Jake, I don't even want to get into it. I'm not. Let's not even get our inputs on this. This is another highly debated thing. But on here we have 62% yes, 38% no. So we'll see where that goes. I believe the poll still has a few more days, so make sure you go on there and give us your feedback. Make sure you comment on it as well, because we would love to hear what you have to say about it. This week's poll question, Jake and I, we're going to stick with the NFL. We have nothing, really fun, but I think this will be interesting to see is who do you think is going to win the NFC South? Do you think it's going to be the Falcons or the Saints? If you think it's going to be the Carolina Panthers, make sure you comment below. We can only have two choices, but I think those are kind of the two front runners of this division. So do you think the NFC South will be the Saints or the Falcons? Do you like that question this week, Jake?
I love it. I was actually going to suggest it.
Well, hey, look at that. There we go. So we have this week we are going to go into our quiz show. Jake, I have a little different for you. I think it's going to be. I think you'll enjoy this. I really do. I went through talking NFL. Now I know we're way past the draft, but I was thinking the other day when a few players have been drafted, and so I thought we would have some fun. All three of my questions. I have a bonus question. Has to do with the NFL draft. We even have some sound effects for you this week if we get it right, if we get it wrong. It's going to be awesome, Jake. I think we're going to turn this quiz show into something. Please, listeners, if you would, if you want to join us, don't let Jake and I do it. We've had some interest. We just got to line this up and getting them on. But we would love to have you on and compete against Jake and myself. And we're a bunch of idiots, so you really have a good chance of beating us, I think. So I guess I shouldn't speak for you, Jake. I'll speak for myself. But anyways.
Don't speak for me, brother.
All right, Jake. So I'll start us off here this week, if you don't mind. So again, I'm going to give you two players. I'm going to tell you the year they were drafted, and I want you to tell me which player was drafted higher. I'm not talking about, this player was drafted 200 and this player was drafted 201st. I'm talking round, so I'm not going to put you on the spot that much. So my first set of players for you, Jake. Kirk Cousins, drafted in 2012, or Rodney Harrison, drafted in 1994.
I'm going to be so bad at this. I know Kirk Cousins was drafted in the 4th round. So that helps. It's guaranteed to be higher or lower. I'm going to say Rodney Harrison.
Rodney Harrison is correct. 5th round, 1994. Kirk Cousins, you were correct, was the 4th round.
Great. Well, that's a relief.
Yeah. One. Hey, look at this. You got a 50-50 chance. That's not too bad.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to start out pretty easy for you, I think. I'm excited about the Pittsburgh Pirates, man. And also Johnny Cueto was in the news for having Tommy John out until 2020. But Johnny Cueto game, 2013 wild card game, he dropped the ball. The next pitch he gave up a home run. Who hit the home run?
Russell Martin.
Yeah, baby, let's go.
Oh, I gotta get this cheering. I did it for you. Let's get it for me. There we go. All right. So next question. So we're each 1 for 1. Going to last week, we're going 4 for 4 in our last. Man, one of us is gonna. Oh man, I'm not. Who's it gonna be? All right, here we go. You ready, Jake? Mm-hmm. Here we go. Jared Allen in 2004, or Terrell Davis in 1995.
Oh my gosh, who's drafted higher? So, I'm gonna say it was Terrell Davis.
Oh,
wrong. Yeah.
Terrell Davis was drafted in the 6th round in 1995. Jared Allen, the 4th round in 2004. So I did not know Terrell Davis was that low. I'll be honest with you. He's one of those. Obviously, Jake, all these are going to be lower rounds, but I knew he was lower. I didn't realize he was that low.
Wow, I didn't realize that he was that low either. But hey, good for them. Good for him, man. Yeah, that's a heck of a career. I mean, he was one of those guys that I feel like retired a little early.
Yep, I agree.
But yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
Him and Barry Sanders.
Yeah,
forever.
R.I.P. Man, R.I.P. to those careers gone too soon. But yeah. So I've got this one's gonna be a little bit difficult. I think at least. So.
Oh boy.
So 2002. Super Bowl, it was 37.
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl 37. It was Raiders and Buccaneers. It was a weird Super Bowl. Buccaneers destroyed them. Talking about the Buccaneers reminded me of. Who were the quarterbacks of those two teams?
Rich Gannon.
Yep.
I know this. Rich Gannon that was easy.
John Gruden's finest work.
Yes. Oh, yes. Was it? Oh, what's his name? Oh, no, I don't want to. Johnson.
Yeah, you got the last name. Let's go.
Brad Johnson.
Yeah,
yes.
Attaboy.
That was one of my favorite Super Bowls, and because I thought it was the most random and strange Super Bowls in the history of Super Bowls. I enjoyed that one. I mean, even though it was, like you said, it was a terrible game, but yeah, I remember Rich Gannon very well, and it's funny because Brad Johnson, I saw his name, and I couldn't think of it. Anyways.
That was a weird Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's why I always think back to Super Bowl 37. Like Dexter Jackson was Super Bowl MVP. Like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah. Great question. That was a great question. All right. So next question. We're gonna stay here with again staying with the same thing. Shannon Sharp. So we're getting a little order. I got a little order as we went. Shannon Sharp, 1990. Kevin Green, 1985. 1985.
I see. You know what, Matt? I should have started this edition of our trivia show with I'm terrible at drafts. I'm terrible at remembering who was drafted when. So we got Shannon Sharp.
Well, for all you out there know this isn't staged because I don't want to make Jake look bad, or do I?
Yeah. Very well. Man, I'm gonna say Shannon Sharp. Those positions can be tricky. I'm gonna say Shannon Sharp.
Oh, it was Kevin Green.
Unbelievable.
5th round. You ready for this, Jake? Shannon Sharp, 7th round.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I honestly had no idea.
This is interesting. That's why I thought I would do it. I thought it was very interesting in my research. All right, here we go. Can I go 2 weeks in a row? Oh my gosh. Here we go. Oh. Come on, Jake.
Okay, so oh my gosh. What am I doing? I had it up here and I messed it up.
While you're looking at it, do you remember Greg Brown's call on Russell Martin's home run?
Oh my gosh, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. But got you. Okay. So in the late 90s, sorry, I'm stumbling on my words.
That's okay.
In the late 90s, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was played for, in the late 80s, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson played blank for the Miami Hurricanes.
Was it? I'm gonna have to guess. Tell me this. Do I get this right? It was defense?
You're absolutely right.
Okay. It was linebacker.
Oh my gosh! Oh, you were so close.
No!
Is a defensive end.
I'm not coming back next week.
Anymore. Those two are interchangeable. So
yeah.
I'll give you 2.5 out of 3.
All right. Yeah. That's not bad. I remember. I remember. I was too little then, but obviously, I do remember seeing replays of him in college, and I love Dwayne. I love The Rock. Awesome.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I do.
All right. So I got a bonus question for you, Jake. No, it's just. I thought this was interesting. So we're going back to the 50s when there were a lot of rounds in the. This is just more of an interesting thing. Bart Starr in 1956 or Johnny Unitas in 1955?
Bart Starr.
No. But here's why I ask you this. Bart Starr was the 17th round. Johnny Unitas was the 9th round. Isn't that just crazy?
Wow.
Yeah, just absolutely crazy. Well, there you have it. That's this week's quiz show. Make sure you join us next week. We would love to have you as part of that. And don't forget to join us on Monday as we are back here with Christian and Jonathan. And then, sorry about that. I was messing up my words there. Christian and Jonathan on Monday. Keith and Max on Wednesday. Next Friday with Jake and me, Matt Coyne. Jake, any closing words for our listeners this week?
Man, I'm just so happy that all this stuff is just coming back. We're gonna have, before you know it, we're gonna have the NFL, NHL, NBA, and baseball all at the same time. What a great time to be alive! I'm so excited. But yeah, I mean, for this next week, I mean, really, I'm excited to see how these trades start. Chris Archer's first start is tonight for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Mm-hmm. You're gonna see Dozier come into the lineup for the Dodgers. You're gonna see these big names come in. I'm anxious to see. I think that some of them. I think Dozier might be a flop, but I think Archer's gonna be really solid for the Pirates.
Yeah, it'll be so fun to watch. Jake, as always, it was such a pleasure. I'm glad to be here in the Berg to be airing this week. We'll see you back here next week. Hopefully, we'll have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. As always, thank you for sticking with me here on the Friday shows. Thank you all out there for listening to us, sticking with Jake and me. Make sure you visit us on our Facebook page and our daily poll question. For Jake and Matt Coyne here in the cheap seats, we'll see you next time.